I'm Priti Mehrotra. I had a sarcoma in my paraosteal osteosarcoma in my left knee in the year 2006, which is almost 12 years back. And by God's grace, it was a very low grade tumor. So I was not given any chemo and any radiation. So that is one reason when the whole thing started on the group where people said, Payal said you can put in your name if you can be of help. I really thought over it. I said, in my case, I really have no inputs in terms of chemo and radiation, which are very big part in when people get cancer. I didn't have any of those, so I have no experience. Yes, I did have a long medical recovery period because it was a surgery which was a big surgery. Almost 14 inches of my left knee and little bit tibia and femur was removed. But the fact that except for the physiotherapy, which I was very clearly told that I have to be very, very particular with, because Dr. Agarwal had clearly told me it's however much you are going to do it in the first 3 months is what your leg is going to be, as in terms of, with the angle. So I could only do it till say about 100-degree movement, and now at this stage, now after so many years, I can just barely do 90 degrees. So what I'm trying to say is that was the only thing which I had to go through after my surgery, which is almost 1 year of very extensive physiotherapy. First 3 months were a killer because obviously it was very painful, but after that, slowly, I realized, I can move my leg. I can only thing which of course I can't do till today is to maybe sit on the floor or squat, or I couldn't do yoga anymore and certain things. But otherwise, touch wood, I've really not had any issue. And one thing what Dr. Agarwal had also said was that however well you're going to take care of your leg, it is going to take care of you. So I think I took that advice very, very seriously, and he told me not to really, walk on hard surface, not to really put pressure, not to do any such thing to harm your leg. So I think that I have followed, and in 12 years, I have had my, times when I've been probably stressed or overdone things, and stood for very long where it has given bit of a trouble. And last year also, I think I stretched myself a bit too much. My daughter was getting married, so it started playing up, and I really got scared. I thought maybe the part needs replacement because it's almost 11 years, but fortunately nothing of that sort of happened. I think it was just my stress and that extra that I was doing, and trying to walk, trying to lose weight. So all that put together had created that. So I have really had no this thing of chemo or radiation. So that part, I fail to understand what people have gone through, and I have seen my close family, relatives, friends who've gone through it. So I know there is more to it than in my case, where I consider really, really myself very lucky because I have really no experience of that. So that was the reason I didn't even give my name, because I said, I don't know in which way I am going to be of any help, because I noticed everybody who had put the name had written, that many cycle of chemo, that many cycle radiation. So I said, people who really need help are the ones who actually are going through that phase. Besides, of course, mentally I can tell them be very strong and whatever, but I think it's the people who go through these kind of cycles which have their side effects are really, really who require help and all. So otherwise, touch wood, I've been all perfectly
I
fine.
think one very big learning which we all will be able to appreciate is the physiotherapy part, which I think is applicable to every one of us.
Yes, and that
But
I
it
yeah.
gets ignored. So
Correct.
could you talk more
Yeah,
about that?
so that is one thing which I think everyone, whether it is whatever kind of sarcoma you have and where it is, especially in the limbs, for example leg or hand or something which requires physiotherapy, I think that is one thing which I was very determined to do it, and I did it for 365 days without fail. That I'm very proud of that achievement of mine, because I knew that I had this in my mind. 12 years back, I was a little more younger, and I used to feel I had small kids. That if something happens to me, if I can't walk, say tomorrow or whatever, how am I going to now, bring up my children and all those kind of stuff? But again, because I had not had this thing of chemo and radiation, I used to really thank God कि okay, I have not gone through a lot more than what people really go through. So physio was very painful. I will not deny that. The initial 2-3 months were absolutely, I would say they were excruciating pain. I mean, I in that case I have a little more, this thing of taking in pain. The threshold is much more maybe because I notice other people who can't really take little bit pain. But in my case, I have that little advantage. But in spite of that, when I would go for my physio, and the doctor who was doing it is one of a very senior physiotherapist who lives near my house, Dr. Hati. He used to tell me in my so many years of being a doctor, I have seen very few patients going through such a kind of excruciating pain, and the least I would do is tighten my, hands, fist, tears rolling down my eyes, and just clench my teeth. That's it. But I would tell him, no, I have to do it for my own sake because my leg was absolutely straight. And if I don't do that physio, how am I going to put it into an angle where I can walk? So that is very important. And I think that really, really helped me a lot. That physiotherapy really helped a lot.
So how did you manage to do it 365 days
So,
with that consistency? So what's
yes,
the secret
so
for that?
fortunately, I mean, bearing maybe Sundays if I'm
Yeah.
not wrong, because that's one day. Because the doctor used to do it personally for me. That was one more thing which he took it upon himself. Because when he realized I have a big prosthetic leg, he said, I'm not going to let anybody handle you. And he's a very, very senior physiotherapist, who stays close to my house. So I used to go every single day. It was like a time fixed for me, varying at times where I would go. Sometimes if he was not available at a different time, but otherwise Monday to Saturday I had my slot fixed. I used to go every single day, and initially, it's a funny thing now, but at that point it was, my friends used to take turns to go with me because I couldn't walk by myself, and the driver would take me to the doctor, but I needed help and support. So the initial months my mother was with me. After 2-3 months when she went back, every single day it was either if my children were off or on a holiday or some sort of a weekend or say Saturday. Otherwise it was each day a friend of mine would put her hand up and say, today is my turn to take you to the doctor, till I could do it by myself. So the thing was, because my leg was absolutely straight, to even hold me to walk, okay, I could walk with my maybe a stick or a walker or something, but I needed help and assistance to sit in the car. So I learned to sit back and drag myself, then to get off, put my leg down. Initially that was a bit of a not hindrance, actually it was just that little tough. But slowly, gradually, I gained confidence, and I sort of, with the friends' help, and everybody supporting me, my family, everyone, I started doing. And then a stage came after about 4 to 5 months when I could manage on my own. When I started walking, moving my leg enough, just the driver would take me, I would go get my physiotherapy done and come home. So, but I actually did it without fail, because I was absolutely determined that I have to get my leg back into a state where I can walk normally. So there are times when people don't realize it. It's only when they see me, when if I'm actually walking. I mean, not in normal regular way, but if I'm walking in the, in the club, they would see and they'll say, "Oh, you've got hurt." And I'm like, no, I've not got hurt, but it's been there for a while. And they are absolutely shocked. They say, in so many years, we've never been able to figure it out in your regular this thing. I said, yes, maybe regular not, but when I walk, because I'm trying to pace a little bit and, walking in a way where I feel, I should walk and actually try to do some sort of an exercise. And one more thing which Dr. Agarwal had very clearly told me was that swimming is a very good exercise. So that again, unfortunately, because I had a big prosthetic with my left leg, with the knee also not there, I sort of couldn't swim, which I had learned in my when my children were young. But that one stroke that I had learned with a lot of difficulty also. Just a minute I went in the water, I realized my leg has just fallen. There was no strength in my quadriceps to keep my leg floating, and I was really disheartened. I said, okay, so now what? And eventually 3 years ago, there was a adult training class going on in my club, and I took that opportunity, pushed myself again. I said, okay, if I can't do freestyle, let me see if I can do breaststroke, or something which can help me to swim, to make me do exercise. And that time my trainer took the challenge. He said, okay, I've never taught somebody like that, but let me see if I can actually do it. And with my total efforts, I would say, because he gave up after about 2 months. He said it's not really working, and I couldn't even swim the breadth, forget the length of the pool. And I just kept going, pushing myself, and now I can swim.
Wow, lovely.
Wow.
That was my achievement again.
Wow.
So eventually, I feel if one really puts in an effort, it does help. And you have to be very positive and very strong. That's what, in my case, I have always tried to be. Though I've had my ups and downs, but I think that's one thing which is something one has to keep in mind. So that's it.
Thanks a lot.